This one is long overdue. So what's up guys? Today I've decided to finally review the Sigelei 150 watt box mod. I've been using this for about a year now and it is my main mod. It's the one that I take out with me everywhere I go, as it's just so reliable, never let me down, and I thought I'd just basically show you guys exactly what it is, how it works and what will run off of it. Okay guys, so this is the Sigelei 150 watt. This is how it came to me. I actually purchased this from Amazon for around £120. It did include the batteries and a charger. So it's a nice little box. It's got like a drawer that you just slide out. So in the box you get the manual. This is the 150 watt. They do also make a 30 watt, a 50 watt, 75 watt, 100 watt and of course 150 watt. You also get a warranty card, which is good for up to 12 months, and just a little sales distribution card. Now, this is the actual mod. I have actually put the sticker on there myself, because I kind of like the way it looks. But yeah, we do have a lot of ventilation holes in the bottom, just in case you was unlucky enough to have a battery vent. We've got a nice LCD screen. Very large button. This is your main firing button, and of course your wattage down and your wattage up. Now this isn't dirty, this is scratched, really scratched. I have owned this device for about a year now, like I say. The actual mod itself works perfectly, but it does tend to get a little bit scratched. The 510 connection, the copper pin, which takes the 510 connection, is spring loaded, so you do tend to put it on too tight from time to time, which does make this get quite scratched. Nevertheless, it is magnetic, so you just pull that. It's quite a strong magnet as well, so there's no screws involved here. You just pull that away, and this is your battery compartment with a nice little ribbon tab to get the batteries in and out. Now you will need two 18650 batteries. I've gone for E-Fest as I find them the most reliable. Personal preference. They are 35 amp batteries, and yeah, so we just pop those in there. Put the lid back on. So yeah, there's no atomizer on here currently, so 5 clicks turns it on. If you want to fire it, it's going to say, yeah, check atomizer. So I got hold of a Aspire Atlantis mega tank, which is this one here. It's the largest tank I've ever had. It holds 5 mil of juice, which is just insane. That is enough juice to last me probably a whole day of constant vaping. Maybe a little bit less, but it is a 510 connection, so you just screw that on. I've got this at quite a low resistance, this tank. This is reading 0.3 ohms. It was currently 0.9, but I did strip it out and get a new coil in there. This tank doesn't really fit the Sigelei. There is quite a bit of overhang each side. I'd say about ½ centimetre, so you've got about 1 centimetre of overhang. So as far as appearances go, it doesn't look that pretty. I did have a Heracles tank which fitted this perfectly. Unfortunately, my brother, he only had the 75 watt mod, and this tank just looked absolutely stupid, so we traded. So yeah, currently I've only got 40% battery, but it is good that it does actually indicate your battery level. I've got it at 57 watts, which is kind of my sweet spot. It's at 4.2 volts. Obviously that would change depending on how high and how low you have the wattage, and 0.3 ohms. So if we was to crank this down to say 50 watt, we'd click it 7 times. So just out of focus there. If you go below 50, you've now got 0.1 increments. So it would go 49.1, 0.2, 0.3, all the way up. But once you get over 50, it goes 51, 52, 53. So as soon as you get over 50 watts, it becomes quite handy just to get the whole unit up all the way. Also, you can hold the button. And that will speed it up all the way to 150 watt. or all the way back down to, I think the lowest output for this device is 10 watts. Yeah, 10 watts doesn't really seem to fire 0.3. No, it's just too low. So we'll put it back up to my sweet spot. Fire her up. So yeah, as mods goes, this is kind of large. I did used to have a few of these. I also bought my wife one of these, but she found it to be too big. This is a bit masculine. I'm not meaning to sound sexist, but it is a big mod and it is a heavy mod. So if you're a female and you've only got little pockets, and say for example you're walking down the street, this is yeah, it's a big heavy beast of a device. So yeah, back pocket of jeans, it's heavy enough to pull your jeans down. It does weigh quite a ton, especially with the batteries in there. You can see what you're paying for though. If you want a big mod, this is definitely one to go for. So we've broken it down. This is the Aspire Mega Tank with the air holes. It's got 3 different settings. So you've got like a small, a medium, and a large. Oh, 4 different settings, and like an extra large. I like my airflow open all the way, and that goes all the way around. That's 360 degrees all the way around. Yeah. It also has ventilation on the drip tip, so you can open and close them valves if you want a little bit more or a little bit less airflow. So yeah, I'll just spin the camera around and give it a few vapes. One thing I didn't get from the seller was a silicone sleeve to actually slide the mod into. I couldn't actually purchase it from the seller or on Amazon, so I had to get it off of eBay. That actually cost me £10, but believe it or not, it's worth it. The mod itself is really heavy, like I say, and it is stainless steel, so it does become really slippery. And the last thing you want to do is drop this, considering that this whole setup would set you back, including the batteries and the charger, around £200. So the last thing you want to do is drop this up the floor. So yeah, you've got a lot more grip with that on there. And yeah, this tank is good for up to 75 watts, which is what I've got it set at now. And you don't need to sit there for ages waiting for your lungs to fill up with vape. This is instant. I'll just give you an example, just warm it up first. Instant. They're like 2-second blasts. Tons of vapor. Tons of vapor comes from this. Like I say, guys, it's a beast. I don't know where I'd be without this mod. Mechanicals, they just seem to keep failing on me. It's just the little buttons at the bottom, they just seem to keep going wrong. The threads on the connective screws, like they're silver plated or gold plated, they lose their thread, they lose their gold plate or silver plate, and then they fail to make contact. But the Sigelei, obviously, the battery's just sitting there. This will last me about a day and a half of constant vaping, and before the batteries actually get quite low. Another thing to note with this is that when the battery percentage gets below 30, you can't vape above 50. It's 50 or less, and obviously as that battery drops, you're going to have to keep dropping the voltage, so you're going to get less and less vape. But it is a good idea to only charge batteries once they have completely, like almost completely discharged. It's never a good idea to keep putting something on charge if it already has a lot of battery. So it's a bit of a pain in the arse knowing that your batteries are 30% full, yet you're having to still put them on charge. But nevertheless, it works great. Absolutely love this mod. It is my main mod, like I say. And yeah, it looks amazing with that tank sat on the top of it. Beast. You can get these from practically anywhere now. When I picked this up, you couldn't get them. This actually came from a seller in the States, I do believe, because they just completely sold out. They are in stock everywhere now. You can pick these up eBay, Amazon. Grey Haze website also has a large stock of these in all the different size wattage, from 30, 50, 75, 100 and 150 as well. They're not cheap. There are cheaper versions on the market. I just went head first with this because a friend of mine purchased it and I had a go, and that was it. I wanted it. I saw the amount of cloud you could get for your money, and that was it. So I've just stuck with it. Everything else on my shelf just tends to be mechanical, as I like fiddling and making coils, and as you do when you're a vapor. But definitely recommend the Sigelei 150 watt.